Superplus.
Greetings and welcome to the Hills of Steel 1 Tank Breakdown series. I'm your host Andrew, and this week we're bringing you one that a lot of you have been waiting for, Kong. Before we get into this legendary tank, let's do the usual. Skins. Cyan, Jade and Hero are all available for this legendary tank. We're going to go with Hero. The notable differences in this tank compared to the others won't be seen until we get into some gameplay. However, when you look at the tank overall, it still has all the same features as the previous tanks. You have your typical stats, armor, gun and engine. As you can see, the gun is quite strong, the armor and the engine a little on the lower side. You also level it up via cars, as well as all the standard boosters that are available for it as well. The difference being is that because Kong is a legendary, it's a little bit more difficult to get your hands on cards, so leveling Kong will be a little bit slower compared to some of our standard ones. Now, let's see what makes Kong so unique and jump into some gameplay. Let's start with the usual, Midsummer Siege. Kong comes with two abilities, his standard attack and then a ground slam. With his standard attack, it is a regular punch that will do damage in a short area in front of him. The ground slam will hit the ground in front of him and send out a shockwave across the terrain in front of him. These both do tremendous amounts of damage, and they also have an extra effect. They will knock any tanks back that they hit, causing them to lose balance and give Kong the chance to push further into them without worrying about taking damage. The ground slam in most cases does enough damage that it'll be able to one-shot most tanks. As you can see, the punch from Kong not only does a good amount of damage, but pushes back a great distance. This, paired up with your ground slam, will be a great way to push forward consistently. And when paired up with the right booster, for example we're using the airstrike here, means that you can do a lot of damage in the area in front of you. Kong's speed is relatively quick even though he is large. It means you can traverse across the terrain quite quickly, up and downhill, meaning that because you are a melee, there's no worry about being slow at getting into range to do the damage you need to. Same thing can be said for bosses. It's very easy to approach and do a lot of damage. However, the knockback effect will not take place when it comes to bosses. The only downside to Kong is that because you have to get into melee range, by the time you do so, you do take a lot of damage. At the lower levels, particularly level 1, even against standard tanks, you're going to take a lot of damage, which is why it is crucial to do as much knockback as you possibly can. One other thing to take note about Kong is how it takes care of air units. So, let's jump over map and see how that happens. Because you are melee, a lot of people might worry, but if we can only punch and hit the ground, how do we take on air units? And the thing is, because of Kong's sheer size, there's actually nothing to worry about. In most cases, the punch will hit any flying units if positioned correctly, but the ground slam, when it hits the ground and sends a shockwave, it will do a lot of damage to air units as well. So, because even though you're a melee unit, there's not much to worry about when it comes to both ground and air units. The difficulty of being Kong, although we thought it would be air units, is actually the positioning. Because you are melee, it means that you have to get up close and personal in order to use your abilities. This means that we can't really hide behind hills if we want to do our most damage, which means that we're going to take a lot of damage. And as we noted, at lower levels is not very much. We do take a lot of damage even from standard tanks. So, in most cases, we have to learn when to move in, when we need to use our knockbacks to our best effect, and when to use our booster to its best effect. In some cases, even taking a heal would be ideal. The other thing to note about Kong is that all his attacks are AoE, So even if you're punching or ground slamming, you will hit everything that is in the area in front of you. So it is great for taking down large waves of mobs as well as just single targets. The same things apply also to the PvP modes. Although you can punch and ground slam the enemies and cause them to jump back up into the air, you need to get into a closer melee range for that to happen, and in PvP, a lot of times you're going to take so much damage you won't even get the chance to get close. So be careful when you're ready to go into PvP mode and ensure that you're ready for what's to come. So, overall, Kong is a tremendously strong tank. He moves across the terrain relatively quickly, he can take care of both air and land units with ease, can do both single target damage as well as AoE damage quite well, but comes at the cost of taking quite a bit of damage in return. So, there's a number of things to learn when playing Kong. Know when to use your ground slam to get the best knockback effect. Know when you need to position yourself correctly in order to take on air units. Ideally, you will want to hold on to your ground slam for that because it does the best damage to air units. And of course, choosing the right attachment as well as grinding out those levels. They can be difficult, but once you start getting Kong rolling, he's going to be an unstoppable force in the later levels. This concludes our first look at Kong in Tank Breakdown series for Heroes of Steel 1. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the content that's coming, as well as to follow our social media. All the links are below. We are also super excited to announce that we have a Discord that is new and improved that includes an area for Heroes of Steel 1 players, so make sure to come join us there to show us your best gameplays, your fan art, or just to chat and hang out with other Heroes of Steel 1 players. Also, don't forget to join our live streams for Heroes of Steel 1 on Thursdays. Until the next time, have fun, and we will see you on the hills.